Good
Hey,
morning, sir. How are you? All right?
we are doing well. I'm so glad to be speaking to both of you because Fackham Hall was such a hilarious film. So congratulations to the both of you on this film.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's lovely to hear.
Excellent. Well, I have to start off with that obligatory question. What initially drew you that you want to be part of this ensemble of Fackham Hall?
Because it was just so funny, I couldn't not.
That wraps it up. I mean, I concur. I was brought up very much with from my dad and my mum's side, loving the unique sense of English humor from Basil Fawlty's absurdities in Fawlty Towers and Monty Python. But also from my mum's side, loving the likes of Downton Abbey and the beautiful era in which they lived in. So combining those two together sounded like a bit of a mad idea. But when I read the script, I just thought it was hilarious, and I'm glad to hear that you found it so.
I checked out both of your filmographies. You could correct me if I'm wrong, but you both either very rarely do any type of comedies at all. Did you find a project like this, refreshing and difficult and challenging sometimes?
I've never considered myself to be a particularly funny person. My humor comes more from being a bit awkward and clunky. So doing comedies is also a very intimidating prospect for me. But I feel like my characters tend to lean more toward the dramatic. Like, for example, in Jojo Rabbit, which was partly a comedy, I played the more dramatic side. And I think for this as well, like the love story of Rose and Eric is what grounds it.
I still think about the love story being the heart of the film.
Mhm.
I know it sounds ludicrous, but the comedy sort of speaks for itself, and you can sort of
Mhm.
pick which things you find funny from the sort of more obvious slapstick humor or the subtleties of references and beautiful use of the English language. So I don't think most of us felt like we were making a comedy at the time. It did
Yeah.
feel quite serious,
Yeah.
and I think Jim always reminded us that the comedy's there already. You don't need to sort of try and be
Yeah.
funny. So that
Half of the time I wasn't even aware of all the jokes that were happening in the background. It wasn't till I like watched it that I realized, oh my gosh, that was like a car was on fire while we were filming this.
I know, and they always say that comedy is like the hardest thing to do, really. So on set, how do being this such a period piece and you're trying to keep it a little bit dramatic, how do you keep a straight face with everyone and anything that's going
with
around?
difficulty.
Mm.
How did you do it?
Yeah, with difficulty. I mean, like you said, some days it didn't feel like we were making a comedy. A lot of the time it felt like we were making a straight drama. Um, but there are always, I can't think of a specific example right now, but for me, there are always like little things that you wouldn't expect to find funny, but in the moment it just feels so ridiculous. And those little details are what always crack me
Those are the
up. Not
worst
the obvious
moments. Yeah, because the
ones.
jokes obviously they land, but you can sort of act through them. I
Yeah.
just remember father Damian Lewis, who plays Lord Davenport, when he on his way out, shall we say, he says a few ludicrous
Oh my
quotes
gosh.
to the sky,
Yeah.
and it was very difficult to keep a straight face.
That was hard. That was really
But he
hard.
forgave me afterwards, so that's it was all water under the bridge.
Yeah.
That is wonderful. Costumes make a person, especially as actors for yourself. Can you talk about the transformations of donning those period costumes?
I think for me, I really love doing period pieces because it's as far away from from reality as possible. The further I can get from looking like Thomasin, the better. So I always love being able to dress up in a different era and kind of like leave the present behind.
I'll double down on that. The further I can be away from what Tom is,
Mm.
the better. Saying that, my costumes were somewhat less maybe constricting or difficult to wear.
But you had to have very good posture in those
Well,
suits.
but as soon as you put these suits on, this is the beauty of having such a brilliant crew. not just with costume design, but with hair and makeup. And we were filming in an old English country, estate manor, really. And wearing what we wore in that, you can very easily switch into feeling like you're doing that rather than being in a film studio or somewhere that seemed fabricated.
Yeah, that was we were so lucky that we were actually able to film in a manner that everything was practical, that we weren't on sound stages.
Absolutely.
That makes all the difference.
Definitely.
I was very jealous of the men wearing suits because we filmed in Liverpool in November, December, and it was brutally cold. Absolutely brutal.
Especially at 2 a.m. when someone's got a hose pipe.
Yeah.
Filming you on the trying to
Yeah.
get into a taxi.
So I would have liked to have been dressed up in those lovely
Yes.
suits and not.
I think the men got the easier end of the stick on this one. Yeah.
And I do have to mention that both of you had a wonderful hair game in this
Thank you.
film. Can you remark about your wonderful hair?
I mean, that took a lot of work. My fantastic hair and makeup person, she had a lot on her plate. That the hair took the majority of the time in the morning. There were a lot of like rollers and hot tools and everything. So, and a lot of hairspray to keep it all intact. So much so, but that by the end of the film, by the end of the shoot, I was like, it's all gonna have to go. It was, there was a lot of heat.
Yes, we had a brilliant team behind us helping that. I didn't really originally want a hairpiece, but as soon as they put it on, it made me feel even more preposterous and more of an Archibald than ever. So yeah, credit to them.
Now that this manor, Knowsley Hall, I believe, in Liverpool that you guys got to film, did you do much exploring? Was it as extravagant and huge as it seems as we watch the film?
There were, I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, but a couple of the pieces, the artworks in the manor were worth like a couple $1 million.
Like 8 for one of the pieces.
Really?
Well, the one where Davenport's in front of. I mean, either way, yes is the answer.
Yeah.
The entire place, it felt like Fackham Hall, Downton Abbey, certainly built like in the 17th century or something like that. I don't know when it was built.
Yeah.
But,
It was quite stressful because, when a crew arrives on a set, like it's a lot of like stomping and boots and machinery and like.
Yeah, the rule of thumb is do not let film crews into your house.
No, unless
Let
they're
alone-
paying you extremely well.
Yeah, this is an ancient sort of heavily regarded
Manor.
Manor.
Landmark of
and
Liverpool.
part of like
Yeah.
historical British culture, I
Yeah.
suppose. So
That was quite scary.
they just covered the floors with as much protective.
We weren't allowed to drink inside
Yeah.
of the building, but there were only very specific rooms we were allowed to eat in.
I brought a coffee in once and got reprimanded immediately.
Yeah.
Well, let me wrap it up with one last question, and I'm actually curious because one of you is British and the other is New Zealand. Is the humor the same between British and New Zealand?
I think so. I think
It's not far off, is it?
no.
Yeah.
Self-deprecating, sarcastic.
Yeah, dry. I think there's
Yeah.
obviously the subtle nuances that only each. But yes, as far as like, do we find this equally funny? I think yes is the answer.
And hopefully, the other audiences from around the world find it as funny as we do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you both are in a very funny movie with Fackham Hall, so thank you very much for carrying this conversation with us.
Thanks very much. Fackham Hall.